Okay, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate y'all being here. This is, some of you are veterans, and this is kind of old hat. We don't have a ton of things different this year, but we do always, it's great to have a refresher, and it's also helpful just to tweak a few things. So most of what we're doing, thank goodness, we didn't have to change for this year. For those of you who've done it before, it will be very familiar. The biggest change is going to be with our shopping process, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get there. So when we do inventory, we get the gifts in, and that process starts next week, the week after Thanksgiving. So when we get the gifts in, we have people go and pick them up in the community, bring them here to the church. They will be on this side of the gym, the left side of the gym. And we will have them ordered by school. Each bag will have a tag on it that is color-coded, and I'm not sure what all the colors are. It doesn't really matter. We'll have all that set up so it'll be very easy to tell. And it also will have a code for the kids. M22A, that references Maryville City Schools. 22 is the family number, and A is the first child in that family. That means that there are multiple children in that family. So when they come in, we'll have them lined up over here on this side in order of the school. As we get a family in, we will probably be looking for pairs of all the kids that are together, that we have all the children here, and then we will start inventorying that family. We do not want to inventory until we have all the children in that sibling group here, because the biggest thing that we will do is compare those bags with each other to make sure that all the siblings are equal for that family. We're not trying to get all of the kids equal throughout the program. That's impossible. That's too big of a task. The main goal is to get them equal among the sibling group. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is kind of a subjective process. I may think, well, this looks about right, and Kim may look at it and say, I don't think so, we need to do this. So what we did last year that was super helpful, I think this was one of the biggest things that have helped us with this process, is we worked in twos, at least twos. We've got some families that have 6 or 7 in them, so sometimes we had more than 2 working together. Yes, we've got to get this done. We are on a deadline, but if we move too fast, then we're going to make mistakes. So, just take your time, trying to make sure that it's right the first time we go through it, and we'll probably save time in the long run. So, to try to deal with that subjectivity, we try to pull some of that out, and we will work in pairs to do that. And if somebody can work together that has not done it before with somebody who has, obviously that's a good choice if we have, depending on the mix of volunteers we have here at the time. So that will help with keeping up with all the details too. There's a lot of, you see this is two whole sheets worth of information. And please don't, for those of you who are new to the process, don't let that overwhelm you. Once you do this a couple of times, it's like, oh, this clicks. It's all pretty logical and it makes sense. So don't let that intimidate you or overwhelm you. We'll work together, and as we do the first couple, it will start to sink in. Okay, keeping the gifts equal among siblings. A little bit more about that. If a sponsor has been overly generous, I'm not talking about $500 for one child, but maybe $125, $150, even $200. We have to be careful about not setting precedents for these children that may be on the program next year to expect to get a whole bunch when maybe they don't get the same sponsors. They would be impossible for them to get the same sponsors next year. So we have to be careful about not setting precedents. So we don't want things to go out of here that are too expensive. But again, going back to our main goal of making sure that the sibling gifts are equal in a sibling group. If somebody's overly generous and is able to do that, and they have bought for both of those children equally, 2 children, 3 children, however many, let it go. Our goal is not to take away. I would rather add to it if we're capable of doing that. And that's kind of tricky, but that's just one of those things. We have to take it one at a time and see how we're able to do it. And if you need help making a decision, ask some of us that have done it for several years. Karen's been around, Carolyn, Gary and Wanda, Kim, Karen has been here, Carolyn. You've got lots of choices. Ray's been here forever. So, we'll kind of take those as they come. But again, I don't want to get in the habit. If somebody has been able to do more for a child, let's let it go unless it's unreasonable. We did have one year a group that spent $250 per 2 children. So $500 total for 2 children. We had to adjust that a little bit. So again, I can't set a precedent for a child to be in the program next year and expect to be given way more than they may get again. So, it's a delicate balance, but we'll work together and try to keep it where it needs to be. If one of the children, if it's an only child, same principle. If somebody's been able to be overly generous with that child, then don't take it away necessarily, as long as it's reasonable. Let it go. The bigger goal is when there's something that's unequal in between the siblings. That's when we've got to deal with it. And we do have some extras that we have collected throughout the year and that have just been direct donations to us. And I do have some money where we can go purchase some things to add to a sibling if we're not talking about $50. It's got to be something that's reasonable. But if you can think of something that's on, or look at the wish list and see, oh, well, this kid really wanted Pokemon things and only got one. Let's give him an extra, and that's going to make the whole gift sibling group equal. That's what we would do. That would be the preference, as opposed to taking away from those siblings. And at one point, when we first started this, we did have to do that to make them equal. But we're at a point now that we can try to be more generous as opposed to taking away when we can. Okay. So when you run across a situation where you're trying to make a sibling group equal and you do need to make a purchase, we will have a table set up, probably right here behind me on this wall, where we will have shopping lists. And it will be for each type of item, whether it's toys or books or electronics, those types of things, shoes. So just look for that spot and add your item that you think we need to shop for that family or for that child to that shopping list. And at some point, we will make a shopping run, probably several points. We do that several times. We'll go on a shopping run and get those items and make them right. It's the same process, too, if there is a mistake that, like, somebody accidentally bought the wrong size for a child. That's something that we need to really make sure that's right, too, is that the sizes match up with what's on the wish list. Sometimes people look at the tags on the hangers, and they're not always the same as what's on the actual shirt or pants or whatever. So we need to check those sizes. So if somebody made a mistake and they got the wrong size, then we would, if they gave us the receipt, we do ask for gift receipts, we would put that with that item to be returned. It will have bins that go to Walmart, Target, miscellaneous, wherever else people have shopped from, to make sure that we get that returned to the right place and we can get it exchanged. But once you put that item in there with the receipt, then you need to make sure that you also put it on the shopping list for us to go back and get the right item. Here's another piece of that. How are we going to know once that item comes back that we are where it's supposed to go? When our shoppers go out, we take sticky notes and we'll put that sticky note right on that item once we find a purchase for it. So say Carolyn's got a list of 6 things. She goes and finds those 6 things. As she finds it, she puts A62D. Jaron, whoever it is, and she goes ahead, she puts it on there once she finds it, even before she pays for it. And the people who we'll just have to ask them to be very careful with all of our notes to make sure that they stay on there when they're putting them in the bags, because that makes it a lot easier when we get back to pair it up. There's also a communication form that we use. So on that communication form, Carolyn would write shopping for pants size whatever, and date it and sign it, so that if we have a question, I can go back to her and say, okay, what did you mean by this? That one's pretty plain, but if there is a question, I know who to go back and ask about it. So once we get that item back here, we take it over and we pull that communication sheet off, and we can mark that as complete. So let's see, what else do I need to say about that? Okay, I've got a whole list of things that are things that we check when we go through the process. I don't know that I want to do that here because what I'm going to do is have this available for everybody. You can read through that. Again, we go back to the biggest point of all of this is making sure that the gifts are equal among siblings. I won't take time to read through all of this. I will point out a couple of things. You know, we are a Christian ministry. We do not want anything going out from our ministry that is not a positive image, a positive, promotes something that is positive. I'm sorry, skulls just aren't positive. I know that is a trend that a lot of people and a lot of kids love them and that sort of thing, but skulls don't come out of this ministry. So no skulls. Monster High, that's one of the things. I think that's kind of fading out. I saw one wish list with Monster High on it this time that wasn't a like. It wasn't even a request for it. So I was like, oh, good, we can phase out of that, hopefully. But occasionally I do still see that, and it's still out there. Monster High is vampires, and they just look like scary Barbie dolls. Let's not do that. And it says all of this on the sheets that we send home to the parents. So it's not like this should be a surprise to anybody. If they read the information, then they should know that those are things we don't do. So it's not like we are like crushing a child's dreams by not getting them that. We may be, but I'm sorry, we're still not going to do it. So those are kind of things that you may not necessarily think about, but those are important things. Let's see. Gift receipts, when we do get those in, this is one of our notebooks. It's heavy. This is the Alcoa notebook with all the wish lists in it for all the 170 something, I've lost count, children that are on the program from Alcoa. The way this is ordered is numeric order from reference number. So when we open this up and I'm looking for a child, I can flip right to it. Say I've got sibling group 52, A52, and I'm checking theirs. I can flip right to that and see it. And here's what one of the wish lists looks like. They get asked for 3 articles of clothing and 2 fun things. So that's kind of one of those things we're checking to make sure is right. On the back of this, I said over here, they're ordered by school. We go and check them. By the time we get done with that, they are ordered on the other side by which church they're going to for the celebration. That may sound like, oh my gosh, this is a lot to keep up with, and it is. Again, once you do it a couple of times, it will click. But the reason for that is to decrease the number of errors by sending the wrong bag to the wrong church, because the whole goal is to hopefully get this in the kids' hands eventually. So we really want to make sure that it's at the right church. There are 5 different churches hosting celebrations this year. So it will be ordered on that side of the gym by Boyd Community Church, First Baptist Church Maryville, thank you, New Providence, Presbyterian, St. John, and Victory. So we'll have tables lined out, and those, of course, are all color-coded. And this is a tag for Blount Community Church, and it's the complete tag for this kid, A52A's bag. Once you have inventoried the bag and everything is right, then you will take this off of the back of his wish list and staple it to his gift tag. And then I can look over at that and know, okay, all those are done, all those are done. Now, we will not remove this and put it on the gift tag until we've taken off all the communication forms and we have everything in that bag and it's ready to go. So this is the way that you will know where the child needs to go after you've inventoried them, where that family, the whole family goes to the same celebration, of course. So this is how you will know where they go once you complete them and they go on that side. So if you have, say you're waiting on another pair of pants or whatever, and you are not able to put this complete tag on yet, you put the communication form on, you can still go ahead and put them on the side that they have been inventoried. But being on that side does not necessarily mean that they are all finished. It just means that everything, all the kids' packages were here, or bags were here, and we were able to go through them, and we know what we're missing. So this may not necessarily, just because it's on that side, it may not have a complete tag on it, but it should have a complete tag or a communication tag on it to tell us what we're missing. Those are the two things that should be on that side of the court. Clear as mud? Here's another little glitch that, of course, there's always another little glitch. Bikes. When there is a bike, it is very hard to get those finagled in line. So we have a separate place to put all the bikes for all the churches. So in the regular line, which we'll have tables set up over there so we can put the bags on the top of the table and then it'll go S down underneath the table. So if you go over and say you're looking for A52 to add something to it, and you go to the regular line and there's a card there that says A52 bike, that means it's not going to be in the regular line, it's going to be in the bike line. That's where you'll find that. So, and then over in the bike line, there will be a tag that says this is where this bike is supposed to be in this family. And when you do the inventory for family A52, even though that whole family, not everybody in the family is getting a bike, only one of the children is getting a bike, you still will put everything together with that bike and keep the whole sibling group together. Make sense? Okay. What else are we missing here? Helmets. We are getting most of those donated by the Epilepsy Foundation, which is a huge gift that they have done for us, gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. When we get the helmets in, we will mark them for which child they belong to. And I'm hoping to have those in by first of next week so that we can go ahead and have them when we start. It gets kind of confusing when we don't have everything here, but that happens. So we'll deal with it however we need to. Anything, and we have looked at these books 3, 4 times, gosh, I don't know, making lists of who needs a helmet. And, but I found 2 going through last night that we had missed. And I mean, multiple people have looked at them. We still miss it sometimes. It's just a lot to keep up with. So make sure that if there's something that needs a helmet, even if it doesn't say that we ordered one, we need to double check on it. Check with me or with Kim because we want to make sure that that kid gets a helmet. Things like skates, skateboard, pogo stick. If they're playing on a pogo stick, they're probably not going to wear it. But we're going to think positive and we're going to get them a helmet. Hopefully they will. Of course, the bikes. There were several other things. Ripsticks, tricycles, skates. Several things. So if you look at something and you're like, gosh, I'd really want my kid to have a helmet on if they had this item, then, and you're not seeing a helmet for it, then that's a red flag. Let's figure out where we missed it because we may have missed it. We're dealing with, I think it was 111 helmets. So for all the combination of things that we did find that needed helmets. So don't assume that we didn't miss one. We may have. And let's deal with it. Let's see. Hygiene bags, thank you. Hygiene bags go to any child 13 and older. That's what some of you helped bring in a few minutes ago from Gary and Wanda's car. We are close to having all of those. I'm hoping we're going to be able to put a sticker on those for all of our teenagers. Everybody 13 and up gets those. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to mark those and go ahead and get those in line so we have them ready for when we start on Monday. So if you see a kid that has that is 13 or older, we'll have a section probably on that side of the gym, is where we put it last year, of hygiene bags to go ahead and pull one of those and put it in with your bag. So, let's see, what else? The shopping, that's going to be the big thing that's going to be different this year. John 3:16 has been very blessed, and we have bumped over a threshold, a $50,000 threshold in donations, which is wonderful, but it also comes with a lot more tedious paperwork that is required by the RS. So when we bumped over that threshold, we really had to step back and make sure that everything that, you know, it's not that we haven't bought things that we weren't supposed to buy, but we've got to make sure there's a paper trail for every item. If it's a piece of gum, we've got to be able to show that this piece of gum goes to this child. So when we take those shopping lists, what Kim did last year, which was very helpful, she's going to take those and type them up and they will still be ordered by toys, electronics, whatever, by what section you would go to in the store. So when we make a purchase for those items, we are going to have to make sure that we purchase exactly what's on there. If it says boots and we change to tennis shoes, we have to change it on the shopping list. Because what we'll do is we'll attach the receipt for that shopping list. We'll attach it to the back of that of the shopping list and turn that in so that it's clear that, okay, these boots went to this child, and they can track it back to A52. I keep using that, I guess, because it's in front of me. They can track it back to A52. Or this helmet, if we have to purchase a helmet for this kid, this helmet goes to this child. And it's not just I'm just going out and buying gifts for Grace, I mean, and it's very clear. There's a paper trail. So I'm going to need some very meticulous shoppers who can make sure that every step of that. And probably what we'll do is we'll probably have 3 or 4 folks who are going out and shopping instead of everybody going out and shopping like we did and rotating that around. So we'll probably have to be very selective about that, and maybe that can grow again for next year, but this is just like one of those new things that we've got to make sure that it's right. Don't want the IRS on any of us, do we? So anyway, that's the way we'll need to handle that. Any questions? I know I've flown through this. I'm trying to keep it as short as we can. For folks who are not here, if you talk with people that you would like to invite to join us, we will have this is being recorded. We will have the video available for them to watch. I've had a couple of people that have asked for us to email it to them. So that's another possibility. So anyway, don't think that just because somebody wasn't at this training, if you talk with somebody who'd like to join us, we'll get them in front of the video.
You're still putting receipts in that book?
Yes, thank you. That was one of the things I meant to bring up. We ask for people to give us receipts in case we do have to make exchanges, or when the parents fill these out for the kids. That was 3 months ago. So the kid may have grown more than they projected, or they didn't think to add, the size up. So we keep the receipts. I've only had maybe 2 or 3 times. I've been doing this about 10 years with different programs. I've only had maybe 2 or 3 times that somebody has called and actually asked for a receipt, but they did ask for a receipt. And one year we didn't have them in a handy dandy order form, and I had to look through all of them because we don't want to do that again. So let's put the receipts on the back of the wish lists, and that way, if we do have an issue, we can find it. Makes it a whole lot easier in the end. So, yes, ma'am.
One of the things that you didn't mention, when we are sorting the siblings, about taking the price tags and things off of the items.
Yes, thank you. What we try to do, if it's something that may need, like a piece of article of clothing, that may be something that there's a size difference and they may need to take it back. We don't do anything except take off the price. Just take the price off, but we leave the barcode. For toys that they should not need to exchange, bikes that they should not, well, I guess they could, but we have gone through and looked at all of the bikes per the height that they gave us. If they gave us a height, can you still see me?
Is your video going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not, we're good.
Battery. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good deal. Sorry for the delay. For anything that you think we might need to exchange, or the parents might need to exchange, we don't want to make that necessarily hard on them. But we also don't want to make it necessarily easy on people who are trying to take it back and get the money and not give the kids the gifts. So for those, we would take the barcode off. Like if it's a dinosaur, toy dinosaur, they're not going to need to exchange that for anything. So go ahead and just rip the whole barcode and the price off. There's only so much we can do. If somebody knows the system and knows how to do these sort of things, they're going to do it. We just don't want to make it easy necessarily. We want the kids to get the gifts.
We went through the barcode with the Sharpie. Isn't that what we did?
Well, that's true. We
on
didn't
like
pull it off.
boxes.
Yes, yes, we did.
We
You're right. Instead of pulling them off, we marked through them.
Same.
We did that with the bikes too. And I think that's where I was when we lost power. when we went through with the bikes and trying to see who we needed to get a helmet for, we checked the sizes based on the height that they gave us, if they gave us a height. Some of them put very tall, so we didn't have as much to go on. Some of them didn't put anything at all. But at this point, at this stage of things, I think we just don't need to make it easy for them to make those returns. I have a friend who works at Walmart who says every year he sees people right after Christmas or right after programs like this. We're not the only program in town that has to deal with this type of issue. Folks in line trying to get money for those bikes. Kids crying, standing beside them saying, please don't return it. It kills me. So we are not going to contribute to that. If there's any deterrent we can put in there for that, then we will do it. Another thing is if somebody in the bag that it comes in, if they left the clothes, say they bought it from Walmart and it's still in a Walmart bag, get rid of it. Again, they can probably figure out where it came from, but let's not make it easier for them. And it's just one less thing to have to pull out of there. We do not wrap the presents. We do ask that the gifts are put in, not wrapped, and that they donate some wrapping paper or bags or whatever. So what we'll do at the celebrations is allow the parents to pick out some wrapping paper to take care of wrapping their kids' gifts. And that gives them the opportunity. Not all of these parents are here trying to take these gifts back to get money for them. Most of them are very grateful and thankful to have the opportunity to participate, and the reason they're doing it is because they love their kids. So, we want them to have the opportunity to wrap those presents. Those gifts are coming from them. They can come to the celebrations early and take those gifts and tell them they're from Santa Claus or from them. We don't care. We just want the kids to have the gifts. So that's a way that the parents can participate, is by wrapping their children's gifts. If I was in that situation, just that one little thing would mean a lot to me, to be able to do that little piece. So, okay, what else? What other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, so on any clothing items, we leave the tags, we don't mark through the barcode or anything so that they can't exchange them. But on any toy items, whether it's video games or any toy items, we mark through the barcode and especially the number on the bottom that associates what the item is.
Correct. The only thing we would take off of those is if there's a price listed. We would take the price off
the clothing items.
Off the clothing items, yes. Correct. And then, also the one that we're marking the barcode on for, like a video game or the dinosaur or whatever. Yes. Okay. Anything else?
You didn't say anything about the gift cards, but there are a few exceptions, and we did allow one GameStop this year because he wanted something used, and we don't purchase that.
Right. Yes.
I just wanted to mention that.
We put on the instructions for the parents filling out the information for the wish list that we do not allow gift cards. The exceptions to the rule are iTunes cards, or somebody asked for a Wi-Fi card too. That was something. If somebody wanted to go to Rue 21 to shop themselves, then that would be something that we probably would allow. I think we had one last year. We didn't this year. But we also, something to think about is, let's not just throw that in the bag. Let's put it in something, in a gift bag, so that it doesn't just get lost down in the bottom of it. So that's one piece of that. The other thing is which one was it that we did? GameStop. We had one request for that, so we decided to go ahead and let that go. The issue with the gift cards is we want to make sure that the parents don't use it to go shop for themselves or shop for groceries. If they need groceries, we'd rather them access some other resources than what's been given for their child's Christmas gifts, and there are other resources out there. So, and two, with like a Walmart gift card, I don't know if Target does it or not, if you can buy cigarettes. I don't know about alcohol, but there's some things that we just don't want them to be able to purchase, and those are a couple of them. So that's the reasoning for that. So any gift card that could be used to purchase alcohol or cigarettes is a dead giveaway. No, it's not happening. We did allow for a few things, that a little bit of leeway for those, like the GameStop. This is the first time we've done that. We'll have to see how that goes from now on. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank y'all for coming. I thank you for your attitude and enthusiasm about being here and participating with this. This is one of the funnest things that I get to do every year. And once you do it, just be careful, you're hooked. I'm sorry. So that means you'll keep coming back, and we're excited about that. So, oh, goodness, messed up. This is one of the things, too, that we should have done before we started this morning. And also before every shift. Ray's back there shaking her head. She knows exactly what I'm going to say. So, okay, so the folks that have done this before, we will be getting into this process and everything will be going wrong. And we step back and go, what's going on? We didn't pray before we got started. Okay, so, and sometimes we just have a bad day whether we pray or not. And, you know, that's just life. But we need to cover this whole program in prayer. So every shift we need to step back and take a moment, even though it feels rushed because we've got a lot to do. We're going to see all these bags out here that we've got to go through and take care of, but we need to slow down and make sure that we are praying for the program, praying for the kids, praying for the families, praying for the churches who are going to be hosting the celebrations. You know, the biggest deal is for them to get to see Jesus through this whole process. And that's kind of the culmination at the celebrations. So anyway, so we need to be praying over the whole process. And I'll ask you to do that. Put that on your prayer list. From now till December the 14th, the celebrations are on the 13th and the 14th this year. Please be praying for the whole process and for those families and children and volunteers who are participating to make it special. So, okay.
You don't tie the bags, or you don't knot the bags.
Oh, yes.
You can begin now with Thanksgiving. Practice tying your bags. I did that last year. I took my garbage out and I tied the bag instead of knotting it. Tied it in a bow.
Yes.
I'm not saying it right.
Yes, because somebody else may need to come along and get back in that bag for some reason. You may have marked it complete, and that's wonderful, but for whatever reason, we've got a question about it. I have gotten calls from people that we didn't know a size of something, and we found out like 2 days before the celebration, and we needed to get back in the bag. So there are things that can happen. So when you do tie the bags, please don't put it in a knot, and do not, please, tie the bags together, the sibling bags together. That may make sense because you want them to all be together and not get left out when the family comes to pick them up. But we have to move these bags several times. So don't tie them together, please. And after you pick them up and move them a couple of times, and maybe you're picking up 2 or 3 at a time, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to tie these together. They're heavy. So tie them in a bow. And another thing is, if they are not in a drawstring bag, again, we're moving them a lot of times, and those drawstring bags are the stronger bags. We will have some here. Transfer the gifts over into a drawstring bag, please. So, we keep thinking we're done, and we keep coming up with
I
stuff.
just have one.
No,
thing,
we're
though.
good. It's just
It's
funny.
amusing. When you were talking about praying over the process, and sometimes we have some really, really bad days. I can remember going through an entire shift and not having one bag that was correct. So one of the things I said last year is, anybody got a cowbell that we can put up there? If we get a good one, that everybody bought the right size and everything's there, we could ring a cowbell and say, success.
Well, just celebrate. Yes, that's
Yeah, a
right.
celebration.
Yes, we do have to have those moments where we can say, this did go right. And we do
So if you
have
got
those.
a cowbell, bring it to me.
Oh, Lord. Karen does not get to use a cowbell selectively or exclusively. I can just see her over there. She'll find something else to celebrate because I bet she likes cowbells. But anyway. Well, again, thank y'all for being here. I think we're done now. I think I've said that 3-4 times now. But if you have questions in the process, please just ask one of us. Most of us were pretty nice on most days, so we're approachable at least, you know. I usually have a workspace over here on the side, so if you can tell if my face is red or I'm fuming about something, you know, that doesn't happen a whole lot, but that might be a sign. I don't know, to watch for. But you know, it's part of the process. Just come in it knowing not everything is going to go perfectly, and not everything is going to be smooth. And as long as we know that and we kind of expect it, we don't set ourselves up for it to be otherwise. And usually the process goes better. Okay.